Welcome back to Game-Based Learning in the World Language Classroom. I'm walking you through the why, what, and how of game-based learning. We're on section 3 of my book, The How. I'm Madame Sensei. I teach Spanish, French, and Japanese to high schoolers out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. If you want to talk to me about all this stuff, studio-nemo.com, or the Minecraft Education Ambassadors, or the Minecraft Teachers Lounge, or the Duolingo Educators Network. Those are all places I hang out. We're still on chapter 13 of my book. In section 3, we're talking about cardstock games that are going to help you practice sentences and vocabulary and whatever you need to drill and kill. In our previous episode, we started talking about making sorts and stations, and I'm keeping an eye on the time and trying to keep my videos under 10 minutes, so I decided to chop this one in half. All right, so we were talking about various ideas for making sorts and stations. And I told you not to panic because many of the stations are repeats from the month before. So it's not like you have to make a ton of stuff. I said I need 15 stations for any given day that I'm going to do stations. And of those 15 stations, maybe 5 of them are things we've done before, okay? One's always a very small memory game, and sometimes it's new vocabulary. This was matching up. I think this was an easy one. This was like subject pronouns. You know, who's here? There's one person and he's pointing himself kind of thing. But generally, my matching games are going to be, I'm going to go grab the idioms with avoir. I'm going to grab the idioms with tener. I'm going to grab the hiragana. Anything like that, okay? Students flip them over, play a really quick memory game, or maybe they just match them up. And you can see that after they're done with the game, students shuffle it up for the next people. One of the stations is always, here's a song that we're working on, or a Duolingo story that we've read, or a short conversation. Put the sentence strips in order, okay? Maybe your workbook has some scrambled conversations and you're supposed to number the lines 1 through 4 or whatever. Or you've got maybe short conversations in your workbook or maybe in your textbook. Physically moving the lines around is much more engaged than just putting number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in front. Okay, so this was, I can tell this one's a Halloween song because I printed it on orange and they're putting the Halloween song in order. So I've got this every year, pull out the same Halloween song, or if we do stations twice in October, they can do the song twice. Or maybe one day I'll tell them just to do the refrain or something like that. This one, I had 4 mini conversations, and they were all 4 lines long, but I decided suddenly that was too easy for the students. So I made sure that I printed them all on different colors so that I didn't get them mixed up, but I decided it was too easy, and so I put them all out together. And I didn't say anything. I just let the students figure out, and sure enough, they figured out that the color coding was important, and they were able to put the conversations in order. I always have a dice station. This is just one station. Now, we talked about dice games earlier. When I'm doing dice games whole class, I want the students to write 10 sentences or 10 phrases. As a station, I'll say roll the dice 3 times or roll the dice 5 times. Write your answers here on this piece of paper. Leave the paper, leave the pencil, go on to the next station. But I just print this up on cardstock, plop it right on the table in front of them. It might be just roll the dice and do some math equations. It might be something like this, but it's all pre-made. I've already made these, so why not reuse it? All right, this is interesting. Sometimes I get things in the workbook that are like, yeah, I'd much rather have my students practicing pronouncing this sort of stuff. So this is like a math thing. You're like, how many are there here? And so I wrote a grant and I bought these Tubaloos. These are Tubaloos, and they're really made for students who are working on, they have a stutter that they're trying to deal with, or maybe they lisp or whatever. It's made for your speech therapists. But I find them really great. It kind of looks like a phone, right? I like how the students hang it up afterwards always. So the student can hold it up to their ear and they can whisper into it and they can hear what they're saying and they don't have to feel like anyone else can hear them. So they're their affective filter is really lowered with these. And I just have them speak aloud in it. Sometimes I'll just have like a page of, these are vocabulary words, just recite them. One of the stations is always a Scrabble station, okay? And I'll just say, make 4 words before you move on to the next station. And then when it gets too full, I'll take the words out, and the next, if there's too many groups, take the words down, and the next group gets to start over. I like how clever this person was. They wanted 2 with a T, but they were all out of T's, so they put an L, and somebody tried to cheat and put duo here. I thought that was funny. Hey, you remember when fidget spinners were a thing? You remember how crazy that was, and now you're like, okay, I don't think the fidget spinners are really helping you concentrate. Well, when the students got bored of the fidget spinners, I acquired a bunch of them. And so I use them as a poor man's stopwatch. I'll put them down on a station with just this conjugation card, whatever it is we're working on conjugating, and I'll say, spin the fidget spinner and conjugate as fast as you can, fill in this whole thing, and then start over again until the fidget spinner stops. Students absolutely love that. So generally, I only really need to find 10 activities from the workbook for each unit that we're working on that I think are really crucial. I'm like, students need more practice with this, and they need it quick, and I only need 10 of those, okay, because I've got this fidget spinner one, and I've got the dice one, and I've got a song we're working on, and I've got the Scrabble board, and maybe I've got Twister or something else I've put out like that. But my thought is, students really need this extra practice. By golly, I don't really want to grade workbooks, and I don't want to be fighting with them to turn in the workbooks, but they really do need the extra practice. So when I sit down, I can think of, it's easy to think of 10 workbook activities that the students need. Don't want to grade homework. And I should also say, don't ever sit in the corner while your students are doing this. You are walking around the classroom. You are working the classroom while your students are doing this. You're eavesdropping on them. You're listening to them. You're answering their questions. You're involved. You're making sure that they're doing it. You're making sure that they're doing it right. Students don't do the homework anyway. The main problem is that this does take time to cut out, but it can be reused from year to year. Okay, so I'm going to say, to make the work easier on you, you've got 3 possibilities. You do it yourself. Okay, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Probably there are TAs in the office that you can say, hey, would you cut this stuff out and put it in this bag for me? Keep them separate, whatever. You can explain what you want done. You might have a student who's really advanced in class, and you can put them in the corner and say, okay, you don't need to do this thing we're working on. Could you cut this out for me? Or you might have a club after school. You say, hey guys, let's cut this out and let's practice this game so I make sure it works. Or you just put it in front of your students and say, okay guys, we're going to play a game today, but we need to cut it out first. That's going to take 5 minutes of your precious class time, but 5 minutes of their time is better than a half an hour of your time. So you have to make a decision what you're going to do. Okay, so this took a lot of time. One summer, I spent 2 weeks cutting everything out, but now I have it forever. So I put everything in a filing cabinet. Inside the filing cabinet, I have a folder that says restaurant. Okay, pull out the folder, and inside the folder, I have each different station activity in a different Ziploc bag. All right, that way I don't get the little pieces mixed up with each other. So they'll all be in here. So there'll be 10 in here. Maybe there's more, because maybe I came up with a lot of good stuff. So maybe I'll have 15 or even 17. And so I can do the sorts and stations more than once, and I can change things out. I'm like, they still need practice with the matching game, but they don't need practice with the fill in the blank. Or I know they're conjugating well, so I don't have to put out this conjugation thing. I can do a different thing. Okay. And then I always have notes to myself. Oh yeah, by the way, grab the fidget spinner, get 2 dice, grab the idioms card deck. So if there's something that I know I'm going to use from time to time, I'll keep it separate from here. And there's things like the Scrabble game obviously won't fit in here. So, I'll make a note to myself to do that. You have a choice. You can have students work at their own pace around the room, or you can set a time limit for each station. I find that setting a time limit, it's kind of like herding cats. Some students are going to breeze through, and some students are going to take long on one station and quick on another station. So I don't set a timer. And the students are good about finding a station they haven't done before. It takes about a half an hour of class time. All right, so that's what I wanted to say about sorts and stations. Just over 10 minutes. Next episode, we're going to talk about more cardstock games. This should say part 3. I'm not going to fix it right now. I'm going to stop the video. Hope to see you next time.